If you would like to appear on an episode of My Story Living with Lupus, you can contact us at mystorylivingwithlupus@gmail.com. Also visit us on our Instagram page and also our website, My Story Living with Lupus. The views and opinions expressed on My Story Living with Lupus podcast represents each person's individual experience. By listening to this podcast or reading our blog, you agree not to use this podcast or blog as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or others. As always, consult your own physician for any medical issues that you may be having. My Story Living with Lupus podcast is officially trademarked, all rights reserved. She's a motivational speaker, creator of Right Side of 50, author of Think Inside the Borders. I'm talking about no one other than Shelia Smith. She is here to discuss life lessons. So you know what I want you to do, all the way from the United States to South Africa. Grab your cup of coffee, your cup of tea, and if you're listening late at night, you know I appreciate it. So grab your favorite glass of wine and join us right here on My Story Living with Lupus podcast for life lessons with Shelia Smith.
Good afternoon and welcome to Life Lessons by Shelia E., CEO and founder of Right Side of 50. Today's lesson will be about abuse. Abuse comes in many forms, and abuse is not only directed towards females. We have so many men out here that are being abused on a daily basis. I have been approached by so many men that have asked me, Shelia, bring towards a group that focuses on men also. Men have a lot to talk about. Men have a lot to get off their chests. And a lot of it has to do with abuse. Men are being degraded. Men are being hit. Men are being talked down to by women. Have you ever thought that maybe that's why a man is an abuser, is because he was abused? And it doesn't have to be sexual abuse. If you talk down to a man, if you degrade a man, he's going to feel less than a man. We have to learn how to uplift, encourage, empower our men so that they don't strike out. Some men sit in relationships and they let women talk down to them. They let women hit them because they have been taught not to hit a woman back. What kind of life is that they're living? That means they're inside of a shell. They're not happy. And they're going to strike out. But then they're going to be found wrong when they hit back. Now, I'm not saying on either side that it's correct or it's right to hit, because it's not. Love doesn't hurt. Love puffs up. Love encourages. Love has your back. Love doesn't stab you in the back. Some of our men are walking around here with such weights on them because they've gone from having a beating by their parents. Now, mind you, we all grew up having spankings, having beatings. My children did wrong? Yes. I never spared the rod. But I never did anything to torture my children, to batter my children. I did teach my sons to respect women, treat them as you would treat your mother, treat them as queens. But in no way, take a woman abusing you. Walk away. There's services and help out here for men also that are being abused. Our men need our encouragement, ladies. They don't need to be put down. They don't need words of, oh, if I was with such and such or dealing with such and such race, that I would be doing so much better. That's not what our kings need. Our men are fragile also. We always quick to say, oh, I want a king. I want to treat him like a king because I want him to treat me as the queen on his throne. Well, what are you doing to treat that man as a king? Have you stood by his side while he's been trying to build a business, trying to get the home that you would like to live in? Or have you beaten him down with your words because he's not doing it, quote unquote, fast enough for you because you want to live your best life? Well, what life are you bringing to him for him to help to make it to be your best life? What are you bringing to the table besides your downgrading, besides your outlashing, besides your mental abuse? Words are mental abuse. It's far more hurtful than physical abuse. Our men need guidance. Our men need encouragement. Our men need us to hold them up, not to beat them down. Men won't become forceful towards a woman unless that's something that they've been introduced to. It could have been in their childhood, or it could have been in a past relationship. That's what communication is about. To find out who you're walking next to, who you're laying next to, who you've decided to share your home with. Communication is key. Men are not meant to be hit, just as women are not meant to be hit. Men have feelings also, the same as we do. If you cut a man, does he not bleed? If you cut a woman, does she not bleed? Statistics out here say that there are just as many men being abused as there are women, but it's something that's not spoken about. Why? Because men don't really come forward with it, and they need to stand up and speak out. Because if they do, then that will open the door for women to get help so that they can stop doing what they're doing. We're always so quick to say, he needs a counselor, he needs help, he needs to be put in jail. Well, what about that woman that bashed him upside the head? For the simplest thing, maybe his check wasn't as large as she wanted it to be for that week. Do you lash out on that man? Or do you encourage him to work a few more hours so that he can help more with taking care of his family? How can a man be the head of his household if the woman is constantly badgering him? If the woman is constantly beating him down? If the woman is constantly being verbally abusive? How can a man look forward to coming home to that? Then we wonder why men stray. This is a life lesson of women. Check yourselves before you start complaining. You say you want a king, treat him like a king. You say you want a life partner, treat him like a life partner. You say you want to see what he's bringing to the table? Stop and reevaluate yourself for a moment. What are you bringing to the table? What baggage are you carrying? What are you holding on to from your last relationship that you're going to ask him to deal with? See, it's a cycle. We all have to work on ourselves. Fix yourself as he fixes himself, and then bring that 50-50 or 60-40 to the table, and let's all work it out. Domestic violence is very serious, and it's serious on both sides. Men are hurting, ladies. What are we going to do to fix our men? What are we going to do to encourage our men? And it doesn't stop with just your man right there in the house. You can be working next to a coworker who's going through something. Give an encouraging word. Uplift them. Empower them. If it's a situation, a problem that you see that they need to get out of, if you don't have the answers, refer them to someone. I'd rather refer someone to someone than see them sit there and go through pain. Because a bump and a bruise doesn't lie. And you can see a bump and a bruise on a woman or a man. And I'd rather speak up than turn around and hear 24 hours later, hear bad news. Our men are strong to a point, but our men cannot take our abuse anymore. It's time for us to come together. Stop lashing out. Stop degrading. Stop putting them down. Stop comparing. And enlighten them. Encourage them. Work on it together. The worst kind of abuse that you can have is mental abuse, because that never leaves you. It's always there. So it leaves you second guessing a person. How can you go about your day knowing that you've scarred somebody? How can you really look at yourself knowing that you left a scar on someone's mind, on someone's heart, from words that you've put out? I try to treat everyone with the same manner that they treat me. And in a relationship, I would bring so much more to that. Because if you treat me like a queen, I'm most definitely going to treat you like a king. Women, we have to learn how to serve our men, not degrade our men. We have to learn how to be submissive to our men and not think that it's a weak thing. I'm only telling you things that other women already know. So if you don't know it, guess what? Somebody else does. Domestic violence is very serious, guys, on both sides. So I just had this conversation today to be able to open up a dialogue with everyone, to give you something to think about, to give you something to ponder on, so that we may be able to come to the table or come to the microphones and to be able to speak about it so that we can come up with solutions. No one, whether female or male, deserves to be abused, whether physically or mentally. Abuse must end. We all deserve better. This has been Shelia E., CEO and founder of Right Side of 50, coming to you with life lessons. I thank Susan Hendricks for opening the gates and the windows of giving me the opportunity to come before her audience and to bring a life lesson, or what is it that's on my mind for the month or the week. And as always, the people are on my mind. So I stop and I think of things that are going on. Ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to you reaching out to me with your comments, your remarks. I can be reached at rightside50@gmail.com. Once again, this is Shelia E. coming to you with life lessons, CEO and founder of Right Side of 50.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Life Lessons. I'm Susan Hendricks, your host for my story, Living with Lupus, along with Shelia Smith for Life Lessons. As always, have a safe weekend, and remember, each one encourage one. We'll see you next time for my story, Living with Lupus and Life Lessons.